Hey, well, World Entertainment, and the first reviews are coming in for Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny as it's premiered at the Cannes Film Festival, and it's not looking good. Not just isn't not looking good, it proves James Mangold was full of shit, as we all suspected. There's a lot to get into here, and it's crazy. So, the thing about it is, the movie is searching for this is a struggle to pronounce, the Antikythera, which is the Dial of Destiny, which is a ton of uh, dials and levers, apparently. And here's the thing, this is what the whole plot is. So, here's what the plot is. This is from Deadline. The driving plot is the usual: a search for a priceless antiquity supposed to have magical powers that, if real, could be dangerous in the wrong hands. The object in question is the Antikythera, a clock-like pile of dials and levers that was supposedly invented and made by the genius 2nd century Greek mathematician Archimedes, mostly famous these days for jumping out of the bat, having grasped the principle of displacement to calculate and calibrate astronomical phenomenon. For the purposes of this story, it is also suspected of having the godlike power to find and skip those so-called fissures, making it possible for the holder to travel through time. Remember when James Mangold had a 24-hour Twitter meltdown and called everyone basement dwellers and all that stuff, when people were starting to point out apparently the movie is about time travel, and he absolutely 100% denied that. 24 hours on Twitter, he had a meltdown, and then he went back on Twitter later and had more meltdowns and was constantly saying it's not about. There you have it, folks. It has a godlike power to open up fissures, which we saw in the trailer as well with the planes. That is possible for the holder to travel through time. So, James Mangold, what do you say to that? Because I've said for quite a while that if he takes this stance and takes it so strongly and hard and stuff, that if the movie comes out, people watch it, and that is in fact a part of the movie, then you just make yourself look like a moron, and no one should believe anything you ever say. The same way he refuted and said Phoebe Waller-Bridge never holds Indy's hat. Remember he said that? He said she never holds the hat, and yet the trailer, she takes the hat off of Indy when they're jumping out of the plane. So it is in fact in her hands. So lied again. But let's get into some of these reviews, because they are not good. Not good indeed. In fact, on Rotten Tomatoes, already the movie's critic score was standing, the last time I checked while this video has been made, the score is 43%. Oof. So I'll show you a few headlines and then we'll kind of get into some of it. So from Variety really don't like this thing. They wrote, Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. Harrison Ford plays the aging Indy in a sequel that serves up nostalgic hokum minus the thrills. James Mangold's action epic is made in the style of Steven Spielberg, but the exhilaration is gone. Wow. The Irish Times. Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. Pure hokum of the cheesiest hooey. This is what their review says, nobody with a brain in their heads will compare Dial of Destiny favourably to the first three films. There is a sense throughout of the project struggling to stand beneath the weight of its history. Okay, Deadline's headline was Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, Indy's final adventure packed with action and nostalgia. And they are the ones who then spoke about the time travel. And they see that it's a bit of a misstep. The Telegraph. Indiana Jones, by the way, Telegraph gives it 2 stars out of 5. Says Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny, a shoddy counterfeit of priceless treasure. Wow. And finally, another Variety one said this: Indiana Jones 5 gets lukewarm 5-minute Cannes ovation as Harrison Ford says an emotional goodbye. We'll get into that. So as you can see, it's not looking good. So let's have a look at a couple on the Rotten Tomatoes, because a lot of them are in fact the headlines that we've just read. So here's one from IndieWire. An empty slog of a movie that only exists to smooth over any of the stray fan complaints that have splintered the franchise's audience over the last 15 years. The Dial of Destiny is a globe-trotting adventure movie so safe that even its 80-year-old hero never seems to be in any significant danger. That kind of is becoming a trend with Disney's version of Lucasfilm. Everybody saying, oh, the stuff you're doing here is just safe. You're not taking any chances. Empire Magazine said, if you join him for the ride, it feels like a fitting goodbye to cinema's favourite grave robber. The Independent. Harrison Ford is the hero of the hour. He never loses either his scowl or his dodginess. He plays even the feminist or whatever that is senses with conviction and dry humour. His performance carries the movie. And there's a couple of okay ones. Deadline Hollywood Daily says, it's fun, it's wacky, it works. James Mangold, this is South China Morning Post. Yippee. James Mangold brings the character's adventures to a satisfying close. And another version of The Guardian says, Indiana Jones still has a certain old school classic. But let's get to this. The lukewarm standing ovation, because they talk a bit about the one thing that we were all curious about, which is of course Phoebe Waller-Bridge. So where is the part now that says about here, but when the credits rolled, so they're saying like, oh yeah, it had its premiere, blah blah blah, and all these people were there, and it says, but when the credits rolled, Cannes mustered a muted standing ovation for Indy's latest adventure. Yes, the applause lasted for 5 minutes, but by Cannes standards, that's more of a polite formality. Ooh. And they said the biggest ovation of the entire night was for Harrison Ford. before the movie was shown. So here comes the stuff about Phoebe Waller-Bridge. Oh, this is not good. Indeed, the standing ovations for Ford were louder before the movie played. The film's elaborate action scenes and witty one-liners delivered by Waller-Bridge received a less than rapturous response inside the theatre. During parts of the 142-minute movie, audience members could be heard whispering out of boredom in French. Wow. Wow. That is bad. The fact that they just start talking to each other because it was like, this is boring. And apparently the responses to Phoebe Waller-Bridge was pretty muted, that they were just like, oh, they were getting sick of her in the movie. And we've seen the clips that just look terrible, with her saying like, oh, what, I'm cool, I'm this, I'm that, I'm self-sufficient. And now there's rumour of new dialogue, which I absolutely believe is true, where Indy says like, I've been doing this long before you were born or something, and she responds, you've also been stealing from the indigenous people. This movie looks and sounds like it's going to be an absolute disaster, with a budget that's just under $300 million. It's going to need to crack at least 900 million to break even. No Indiana Jones movie has even passed 800 million worldwide. None of them. And you're trying to tell me that this one they think is going to crack $1 billion? Not a hope. Not a hope. And with reviews like this coming out, it's going to be bad. And it's only a matter of time for the shills jump on board and start defending this thing and say it's the best indie movie ever made. Oh my God, it's the best thing Lucasfilm has ever done. Disney got it right. Oh, blah, blah, blah. It's only a matter of time. But from what we're hearing, a 5-minute, very muted standing ovation, with you being able to hear the audience speak out of boredom during the movie. Wow. James Mangold being caught out to be full of shit with his whole, it's not about time travel. Oh look, the Dial of Destiny opens fissures in time for time travel. Dear God. Dear God. So, with that, I'll leave it there for this one. So cheers, and I'll catch you in the next one.